Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob and today we are gonna be continuing the narration and character voice acting for the Babel story. Not the final part yet, there is gonna be one more part after this one, but for now we're gonna deal with what is in front of us. I was heavily tempted to put everything that is left into a single episode, but considering that I do also wanna, talk about my thoughts and everything and feelings about the story, characters, yada yada, that would have been a stupendously large episode because there is quite a lot to unpack in this thing. So we will keep that for the next time. But for now, we're gonna deal with what is in front of us. But before we begin, as always, to anybody who is new and bumps into the narration through this very episode, the playlist is linked in the description of the video at the very top. So just hit it and enjoy the story, and thank you very much. And speaking of thank yous, guys, thank you very much as always for all the views, likes and comments that you're leaving on these episodes. And speaking of, on the previous part, I do want to highlight one specific comment, and that came from Mandalore Ordo on the name of the flower that was surrounding Theresa, essentially. So the snow in summer flower. As Mando there pointed out, the motif for the flower is purity and tenacity, which, like Mando said, is a pretty fitting image for Theresa. But like also Mando said, the second meaning of the flower is the real kicker of the whole thing. And the second meaning is to love someone you shouldn't love. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. But yeah, outside of that, I saw one more comment that stood out, and I swear that is a comment that I keep seeing, not just on my videos, but just in general around whenever Ace gets brought up. And that is the question of the race for Ace. That rhymes? Anyway, Ace's race is something that always gets kind of brought up, and no one seems to be always sure about it, what it is. The wiki has Ace counted as a Phidia, by the way, which again is the snakes, pardon. Why did I say snack? I mean, he is a snack, but anyway, he is counted as a Phidia, so that's interesting, but I don't remember that being ever brought up. I think people are extracting that by the fact of his art, because when you take his model outside of the game and you see, his full art, there is a tail, and I swear that is one of the most laziest drawn on tails that I've seen on a character. It's literally like take a paintbrush and just do a squiggle behind a character. But yeah, he kind of has a snake-ish tail behind him, so I guess people are extrapolating from that. Maybe it was said at some point, but I honestly do not remember. There's a lot of stuff for this game when it comes to stories and characters and shit. Maybe I just forgot. Maybe I just forgot. But yeah, the wiki has him counted as a Phidia, so there's your answer, I guess, for now, until proven otherwise. But yeah, anyway, we're gonna now jump into the quick recap of the previous part, so for those of you who wanna skip it, you can do so by hitting the timestamp in the pinned comment in the comment section below. So yeah, let's begin. So last time we began the story with the most wholesome part of this story, and probably the last wholesome part of this story. But yeah, we began the story with Doc's journey through Rimbiliton, essentially, after meeting and rescuing Amia. As they also met already Savage at that point, the three of them are traveling through Rimbiliton, having fun, exploring, riding burden beasts, falling off burden beasts, and just experiencing the joys of life, essentially. And also casually throughout the whole thing, Doc keeps telling Amia stories, and the stories are, I drove starships, we went through stargates and rainbow roads and stuff like that, just casually siphoning the dying breaths of a star and using it as an energy source to open whatever shit warp gate. God, type 3 civilizations, right? Anyway, at the end of the journey, however, they do need to return back, as the Doc wants to bring Amia back to Babel to have her looked at and treated against the Ripathy, and they sadly do have to say also goodbye to Savage at one point, as they trick her a tiny bit and decide to leave behind her back while she's looking for a transport vehicle to get them back to Babel. But they leave a message behind, or rather Amia leaves a message behind for Savage, and the two of them, together with Ascalon, who makes contact with them, go back to Babel. On their way there, they get intercepted by Theresa, who came ahead of them to escort them back into Babel, and the three of them reach the land ship, aka Rhodes Island, and go aboard. Kal'tsit and Amia meet for the first time, and all the knowledge that we have about about Kal'tsit at this point, I think I said it already, but older sister meets younger sister. Let that sink in. Again, if I said it already. But yeah, Amia goes to medical, they have a checkup for her, and as Theresa and the doc are discussing stuff surrounding Originium, Theresa takes the doc on a little excursion outside of Babel, as they go to a tiny little secluded patch in the middle of a Originium field, where Theresa shows the doc her fruits of her research, essentially. And it's essentially, she came to a point where she's able, and she was only able to do it once, to one single piece of Originium, small piece of Originium, where she essentially took Originium and instead of letting Originium absorb all the data that it's absorbing and keeping it in it, she reversed the process essentially and released the information that was inside of it, and the released information was then used to create a patch of flowers. As the two of them are discussing that, and Doc is definitely taken aback a bit by how far her research has already gone, they get interrupted by Kal'tsit calling in that they have news from Victoria, essentially. There is a crisis because Theresis has been contacted by the Duke of Cavendish and has been essentially sent a letter of invitation to come to a table, to sit down to a table together and parlay, essentially, as the Duke wants their forces for some military campaigns. However, Theresa is not having it and takes a couple of personnel essentially to escort her back to Kazdel, as she wants to talk to her people and see if she cannot maybe dissuade them from going with Theresis. In the meantime, Rhodes Island gets attacked by a bunch of Sarkas who are trying to use this opportunity while Theresa is not there to essentially demolish Babel and the people there, so that Theresa would not have a place to come back to and would just have to go back to Kazdel, essentially. However, the Doc takes control of the military action there. But in the meantime, in Kazdel, Ascalon meets with Scar-Eye in the Scar Market, and the two of them have a little conversation, mostly surrounding the fact that Scar-Eye confirms to her, or rather tells her straight up, that he manipulated fate a tiny bit. Essentially, the game that she was hunting as a child when she ran into Theresis is something that Scar-Eye manipulated to happen, and as he manipulated the game, the young Ascalon was chasing it and eventually would run into Theresis. Now, why would he do that? Essentially because he wanted to play around with the prophecy that was given and manipulate Ascalon into running into them. In all of that, Theresa is also present, essentially making herself visible to the rest of them, and a conversation breaks out between them. As she's trying to talk to the people present and getting them convinced to come with her and not go with Theresis, Confessarius also appears and does his usual "Hey yo, Alabama" thing, and God, that guy hit him. Anyway, Theresa sadly gets massively disappointed in the whole thing, as one Sarkas after another starts bowing, essentially, and lowering their head in front of her. Basically, they are all telling her, no, we are going with Theresis, we want to do this, we need to do this, we are essentially telling you no to your to your ideal. Theresa sadly has to leave together with Ascalon, and as they are leaving, and as the scene is sad of course, a little spark of hope pops up in the form of Julie, who we've seen at the beginning of the story, in that little flash forward essentially. She declares that she wants to go with Theresa back to Babel, as she's kinda sick and tired of the warmongering essentially. And she's not the only one. Many other Sarkas follow her, and they all follow Theresa eventually back to Babel. Back at Rhodes Island, after the little scuffle finishes up with the Sarkas that were present there, and they retreat, the dog for the first time sees the repercussions of war, as he sees medics on stretchers carrying in wounded and the dead from the action. Scout, however, reassures the dog that without the dog's help, that would have gone much worse, and he has full confidence that the dog will be leading them in future endeavors through these military campaigns with potentially as little casualties as possible, if any casualties even. Sometime later, we see the elite of Rhodes Island scuffle away with some Sarka's military court members. We see Ursula. we see also Ursula threatened mentally by Mantra, who we see for the first time in-game actually, and damn, that's a dope-ass model. But the scuffle continues, as we see also Oda clashing against some Sarkas together with Ascalon. And back on Rhodes Island, our dear Ace finally appears in the story, in this story for the first time, as he is having a little conversation with a Sarkas trader that was part of Babel but decided to, leave. But in his actions, it seems that despite the fact that he is not a spy or selling information that he has, seems that a lot of people have died, and because of it, he's in the brig, and Ace will be essentially his executor. Sometime later, we see that, or rather just after that, we see that a plan is being put into motion, because a lot of civilians and medic personnel are trapped in a little town surrounded by military personnel from Kazdel, a rogue squad of Sarkas somewhere out there as well, and a catastrophe. And there's about 2,000 of them. So a rescue op gets put into action. The elite members are securing the area around. Mantra is locating the civilians. Ascalon has a scuffle with some very crazy Sarkas who even go so far as to blow themselves up, and the Doc and Theresa essentially reach the village with the civilians and the military personnel that they have. And the Doc once again gets rattled by reality, as they see several Sarkas who were on the brink of death essentially disintegrate into just particles after their Ripathy flares fully up and takes them over, and they just dissipate into the air itself. Rattled by everything, back at Rhodes Island, the Doc starts to do some experiments essentially. Basically, in the experiments, the dog starts to see if Oripathy can infect them. And they do so by multiple means, from ingesting it to literally snorting in Originium dust, to just taking a raw chunk of Originium and jabbing it into their arm, but nothing is happening. However, as it seems, the dog is immune, and because of it, they are trying something else, and that is taking their own blood and trying to create a serum, which does succeed, and the serum is miles ahead of anything else, but again, it's something made from their blood, so it's not something that can be just continuously made unless someone finds a way to synthesize the thing. But they tried out on Amia, and it's super successful essentially. As we see 3 months later, Ami is just about the ship, pretty dandy, having a little conversation with the doc. And as the two of them go out on the deck of the Rhode Island land ship, the doc collapses due to exhaustion, because in those 3 months the doc kept on doing experiments and kept on researching without taking any proper rests, and now is unconscious in the sickbay. Theresa and kal'tsit are having a conversation about that, and Theresa decides to essentially poke into the brain of the doc by placing her hand on their head, and as she does so, she sees a nightmare, essentially. In the nightmare, she sees Originium taking over the world, and as it's spreading, even in that dream, that Originium is starting to almost technically kind of take over. At least that was kind of suggested, that it's kind of pushing into her brain as well. But she gets rattled back to reality by kal'tsit and awakens from that nightmare. And as she does, so does the doc, asking what happened and having the situation explained to them. And that is where we left off last time, so let's continue. So then, today we are going to be covering the story for stages 7 and 8. Like I said, I wanted to put everything into one episode and just be done with it, but it would have taken me a couple of extra days, essentially, and even throughout just these 4 individual cutscenes that I had to go through, the throat was starting to get dry, so I was like, yeah, you know what, I will need a day break in between this recording and the next, so these 2 now, the last 2 next time, plus there's still the ST scene afterwards, ST3, as always, the epilogue scene, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. But for now, let's begin with stage 7. Titled Rising Shadow. I see the Sarkis' desire for vengeance. How about we begin with a banger? Enjoy. Enable administrator level encryption. Image number 0018_admin. Activating recorder. Beginning video record. While I slept, the ruins of our homeland nurtured new life. Originium is what guides their development, reshaping the life forms from Talos 2 to have a similar appearance to us. I am rather fortunate. I have been able to leap across the millennia to communicate with them. I have even considered myself one of the people of this land for a time, experiencing their past and future. But in the end, I am not of here. I have even begun to feel uneasy about Theresa's efforts. If the Originium project ends in failure, no, even if it is merely postponed for some time, Theresa, kal'tsit, even the future that I promised to Amia. The inhabitants of this planet, some of the few life forms known to us, are but illusions that will break at the slightest touch. I have been lying to them and to myself for a very long time now. But how will I explain it to kal'tsit? Or to Theresa? Or Amia? Am I supposed to tell them that all the pain they have been through is the key to their salvation and they must stop fighting? That all of Terran civilization is a fleeting dream and only by being assimilated into Originium will we have the opportunity to avert our fate? Seeing the lives of those they call the infected dissipate like smoke brings pain to my heart. It has long been a common sight on Terra, but it always marks the end of life, sorrowful and cruel. It has been too long since I have heard a voice full of life. I can't just see them as unexpected sparks. But what I see cannot be called a warrior's death. Rather, they have given in to the Originium's assimilation, passing through death to join the assimilated universe, a chance where life can break through the deepest darkness. Should I bow in silence at their deaths? Or should I quietly rejoice at the smooth progression of the project? It is for this reason that Theresa dedicates herself to her research. Kal'tsit, our AMA-10, has also chosen to believe in the potential of Terra, chosen to resist Originium and put an end to war. But what about me? The Originium project was built upon the efforts of countless generations, and in that time billions of our compatriots have died, all in exchange for a mere 10,000 years that I have spent waiting and waiting. And now, the flint and tinder are in my hands. After all the long years, how could I abandon it? Because Terra has left me pleasantly surprised in a few short years? Because of the choices that Theresa and Kal'tsit made? Even if Amia has moved me to compassion, would I not have been the selfish one all along? They awakened me to be their salvation, but in truth, I am destined to bring them to annihilation. They awakened me, their destroyer, as if I were their savior. Amia? Kal'tsit? What should I do? Priestess? What should I do? Perhaps I should reveal everything to Kal'tsit and Theresa. Originium has led them down roughly the correct path. Arrogant though it may be, this has been sufficient for these souls to perform a new kind of miracle. Perhaps I must re-examine Theresa and Kal'tsit's plan. Babel's research has proceeded faster than expected, but Terra's political structure is rather primitive, and Babel does not yet have the ability to transcend the barriers of race and nation, so that it may represent Terra as a whole. Believe in Terra, believe in the people to build their own future. Carry on with the project. At least the vestiges of those who came before can live on within Originium. Believe in her. Stop her.
Well, how could I ever blame you? I understand your dilemma. Our debates are far beyond what those little life forms known as humans could participate in. But this is the only way. You and I both know that much. If perhaps we still have time before its return, we can envision things together, achieve them together, describe anything and everything within the boundaries of the universe together. I hope that in those fragile moments, you will always stand by my side. You will, won't you?
That concludes my report, Your Highness.
The military commission seems to be certain we will retake Region C810's village and supplies, but by building an outpost there, they have already fallen into a trap.
There are, however, some officers who have begun to use tactics completely different from Manfred's. This is highly irregular. Our spies have reported seeing Nazir's entering the troops' camp.
Nesalem. What does the doctor make of it?
The doctor believes that no matter how the Sarkis god of war intends to participate in this conflict, our arrangements will be thrown into complete disarray.
What about you?
Everyone is well aware that many members of the Royal Court have always favored the military commission, which advocates for reprisals and violence. But on account of certain restrictions, ones that you might even call rules of convention, none of them are willing to participate in the civil war. If the sovereigns were to decide to wage war upon us in Kazdel, those Sarkas who have not yet returned would once more be unable to find Babel on the map. Practically speaking, if the court sides against us, the military gap will be concerning. Plus, those that support us are, for the most part, not warriors or soldiers. For many of our troops, this is the first time they have ever held a weapon. This is why I must speak my mind. No matter how you look at the facts, our situation is changing dramatically.
I understand. Keep monitoring the Naxer court. If Nezalem is no longer holding back, then Dukarel is likely to act as well.
For 3 weeks in a row, the Rose Riverbank has no ships.
The Rose Riverbank is a most excellent spy network. They are able to deceive anyone they so wish, except for their sovereign lord. Tell them to pull out immediately, leave Kazdel if they must, lie low in other lands.
It will be done. I'll take my leave then, Highness.
The royal court. They possess the most direct capacity to use force. Nezalem only agreed to hand over command because he was promised a war that would reshape the land. Although rather troublesome, it is a challenge that we would have had to face sooner or later, if we were to achieve all that we hope for. Babel does not blindly reject violence. It is clear to us all that if necessary, we must use force to defend our beliefs. But this also means that the Sarkas will further devour themselves, venting the hate they hold for the land by setting themselves ablaze. It will mean the end of us. Defeating the military commission will not solve all our problems. We must give closure to those Sarkas who have grown up knowing only hatred and suffering in other regards as well. As for Oripathy and Originium, we... Please, enter. Your Highness. Your wounds have not yet fully healed, Ascalon. There is no need for you to make your report in person. I've recovered. Besides, this is top priority. Hodor's team has successfully intercepted a witchcraft decoder. The doctor has already begun deciphering our enemy's codes. I believe we should see results soon. Is that so? Ines? W? You have done very well. Thank you, Your Highness. I hope we'll crack our enemy's comms as quickly as possible, so we can plan our next ops. Where is your captain, by the way? Hodor took a few flesh wounds, nothing too serious. He's getting treated in the infirmary right now. If that is the case, then I will not waste your time. Go to him. Of course. Thank you kindly, Highness. W? Huh? What? Go to Hodor. Oh, Alright, got it. Guess he still ain't dead. If that is all, Your Highness, I have other business. That reminds me. I still haven't thought of a real name for the girl. Have I?
The year 1093. Winter. Better, rainy. Kazdel border, Kazdel. The doctor listens to the pitter-patter of the rain on the leaves, eyes closed. Drip, drop. The doctor's heart rages, filled with torment. A foul beast cries out in the distance. Answer my questions, or die here. Ask away. Are you betraying Babel? I've never been a Babel member, but I've also never abandoned them to face their struggles alone.
Why have you come to me?
I have a request.
I will not speak to a myth with no name, evil spirit. Who are you?
Jacob. Dr. Jacob.
Jacob.
Theresis lowers his weapon, the rain falling from the corners of his eyes onto the earth. He does not look at the one who invited him to this clandestine meeting, instead gazing upwards at the colossal statues of the so-called heroes. Statues raised to commemorate the founding of the nomadic city of Kazdel by a pair of twins. Even after 100 years, his stone self still stands, sword drawn, by her side, despite the best efforts of catastrophe and storm.
Not long after she had crushed the rebellion that sought to destroy the new city, the joyful people of Kazdel invited us to witness the unveiling of these two statues.
In an ancient Sarka's language,
heroes. They were to watch over the border we had marked with our own two hands for generations to come, warning our foes, welcoming our friends. I once swore an oath to her below her statue. My sword would behead all who stand against her.
The doctor stares at the statue of Theresis, gaze unbreaking. Does the military commission not stand against her?
No. There is no part of Kazdel that has truly risen up against her. Her foe is me, and me alone. And what of you?
Theresis looks at the figure before him, rainwater gathering at the hem of a long hooded coat, rhythmically dripping onto the ground. The shallow puddles below ripple as falling drops strike them.
You ought to remember that most Sarkas who once lived here have long since died, lost to history. There are only a handful left who know how to find this place. You came here on foot. How far have you walked?
Very far.
You have broken the witchcraft cipher created by Manfred's team that he's so proud of.
I did that a long time ago. I just never told anybody. Even Theresa believes that I only began my work recently, meaning I'm in possession of nearly all of the military commission's battle plans. So I created this opportunity to meet you, alone.
You are confident that I would not kill the strategist who poses the greatest threat.
I am confident that what I'm about to offer is worth enough that you wouldn't. Technology that can control Originium. How far can you go under so much pressure from Victoria? How do you plan to completely change the Sarkas and even this entire land? I can give you the answer you need.
You are a boastful one. So, what is it you wish me to do, evil spirit?
Destroy Babel. Scatter her followers. Let Theresa in on your plans. Unify the Sarkas under a Kazdel ruled by the military commission.
The doctor has imagined the emotions that speaking these words would incite, many times over.
Destroy Babel. Only a sense of relief came over the doctor. The doctor stares at the statue of Theresa unmoving, without the slightest hint of emotion.
She and I have never relied on the charity of our enemies in the course of leading Kazdel to where it stands today. It is true that this war will only end with the decisive defeat of one of us, but you should not be the one to propose it. Proceed. Tell me more of why you would make this request, evil spirit of an age long gone.
You already know. There are no surprises here. Considering the near 200 years you and Theresa spent working together, you should be able to guess. I seek the expansion of Originium. Babel's struggles will only prolong the dying gasps of this land, Theresa's. No matter if you resist it or accept it, Originium will take on myriad forms, drawing all of civilization into her embrace. Have you ever looked up at the sky? Beyond that sky, far beyond the twin moons, there is a place that we would once return to, where we would sleep peacefully. But I am the only one left here speaking with you. In the course of the Sarkaz's eternal search for the remains of dead gods to fend off your enemies, have you ever wondered, why did those gods die?
The rain intensifies. The doctor draws tight that trademark hood and stands below the towering statues. The shadows of the statues envelop the doctor, making this figure seem even more insignificant. Theresa suddenly feels that the one standing before him in the rain is even harder to read than before.
The burden I bear is greater than the future of the Sarkas. If I must destroy some things to create a ladder I hope for, I will do it. It's all I can do. I've already hesitated for far too long.
Destroy some things to create a ladder. You speak lightly of sacrifice.
Nothing like here, Theresa's. Believe me when I say you couldn't even conceive of what I've been through.
And where do I see your sincerity for our cooperation?
Is the shard not enough for you? Otherwise, even with the help of the Confessariu...
It is not. It is far from enough, evil spirit. It is only enough to spare your life, only enough to stop me, leader of the military commission, from killing a fated foe here and now. I require an even more direct means to advance this war to the next stage. If you wish for the Babel members to be spared, then so be it. The military commission promises you that as long as Babel concedes defeat and departs Kazdel, we will not exterminate those who desert or surrender. But you know what you must do in return.
No, you can't.
Who would have thought that the evil spirit who so aroused the interest of the Nachtzer King would be such a coward? You can't both let Theresa live and allow the Babel members to leave safely. It's a total contradiction. Only with the destruction of Babel and the complete eradication of its members can Theresa leave for Londinium with me. Otherwise, it would merely be a case of the military commission quashing and dispersing yet another group of civilians, migrants, and pacifists. Even without my order, such things will happen naturally. Perhaps you believe that Theresa would be willing to step back and watch it before her eyes? She will not. And so she will resist. You know what I ask of you. If you truly wish to save the many who stand by your side, make them willingly admit defeat and surrender to me. Then slay their king. And then I will allow Babel to leave. As it collapses, it will no longer be considered a Sarka's endeavor, and it will grow weak, drifting to the edges of civilization. Destroy some things to create a ladder, Jacob. You're right. There is nothing light about this.
In your opinion, what is the meaning behind the Civil War? What meaning would her death hold?
Reclaiming our lands, rebuilding our homes, ending discrimination, and revitalizing our race. You will have heard these platitudes many times. They are too complex, and yet too simple. Merely a small and pitiful species trying to grasp their fate.
I see. In that case, I will tip the scales of destiny. Destroy Babel, divide them, weaken them, allow them to return to their former lives, so that they can know a moment of peace in the final century. That way, we don't have to kill Theresa, or at the very least, we can minimize the loss of life.
Fretting over violence serves only to stifle you. You understand the Sarkas better than most, but perhaps still not well enough. I have a question myself, Dr. Jacob. Evil spirit of a bygone age, you who call yourself a giant, a god, a supreme creator, one who can dictate the fate of the Sarkas. Are you the only one of your kind?
I am.
That is good to know. Go now, without guilt, and do what you have decided to do. If you worry there will be no one to tear you down from your lofty heights or judge your sins, don't. I will do it, evil spirit. Until there are none left to toy with our fate.
The doctor listens to the splashing of the puddles behind, the sound of footsteps fading into the distance. Theresa is gone, wishing to stay not a moment longer. Pale sunlight begins to seep through the gaps between the statues. The doctor cannot feel the slightest bit of warmth from it. The heroes continue to gaze into the distance. They do not look beneath their feet. There stands a figure who does not leave for a long, long time. Early in the year of 1094, the nomadic city of Kazdel, Kazdel. Please wait, General.
You are too impatient.
But General, the Duke's envoy was almost ready to spit on.
Did we get what we wanted? We got partial usage rights for the industrial area and the right to cross the border, but did it have to be so humiliating? The Victorian dukes have you at their beck and call, treating us Sarkas like tamed beasts. This is not what our soldiers redeployed from the Civil War were promised, General. It is not all that we desired. Perhaps you would prefer the Victorians treat the Sarkas as their greatest enemy from the beginning, banding together to face us. I understand. I know it's necessary for our enemies to think us weak, but this... Many within our ranks feel this is terribly dishonorable. Did I promise them honor? Do these Sarkas have honor in the eyes of the Victorians? You have been far too impetuous lately, Manfred. Dignity is of high import. You fight for the rights of your men, and thus do people respect you. Were these ordinary times, perhaps I too would commend you. But do you remember what we are here to do? We are preparing to steal the heart of a nation. To bring the greatest empire of this great land to its knees. Their prejudices have left them weak, and the Sarkas are in hunger. What we truly need is neither honor nor respect. I understand. Are our men prepared? Ready to depart at a moment's notice. Our people sent in advance to Londinium will support us. The final deadline for our arrival, as dictated by the Duke of Cavendish's request, is fast approaching. We can set out at any time. Good. Then we march to destroy Victoria. Have you been on duty this entire time?
Yes, sir.
Stand down for now. I wish to be alone for a while.
Of course, sir.
Once the guards leave, Manfred takes out a wine glass he had placed to the side. Care for a drink?
You never drank before.
I still don't. But the general has ordered me to learn Victorian etiquette, all preparations for our upcoming duty. I have learned rather recently that every meal those nobles pair with multiple kinds of wine, each requiring its own unique glass. Remember when we were young and the general led us to an ancient battlefield for swordplay? The night was cold, and only after the general made some soup did we realize we had nothing to hold it in. Thankfully, the battlefield was nothing short of spent shells, and you used those to fashion 4 cups. You, me, the general, and Her Highness, carrying cups made out of shell casings while sitting in front of the fire.
I remember. It was a peaceful night.
Just like this one. The frigid moonlight of late winter falls through the window. Manfred rests his hand upon his sword hilt that was equally as cold. The air is still, and the two of them can hear the other's heartbeat.
You're going to Londinium tomorrow.
I know you wish to see the general. And you couldn't. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come to see me.
I give up. I found that when I caught a glimpse of him from a distance, the first thought that came to my mind was that I should kill him there and then.
Then you should applaud yourself for maintaining some reason. And so you decided to come to me?
I heard you've improved your swordsmanship. Why don't we see for ourselves?
I've never been able to best you.
Don't beg for mercy before you've even fallen.
There was the one time we fought in Her Highness's study. We knocked down an entire bookshelf and the general took our weapons away and made us tidy up the room within 30 minutes. I knew that you did it on purpose, wanting attention from their highnesses.
Is that so?
Ascalon hides herself away into the shadows in a blink of an eye. Another blink, and Manfred feels a chill running across the side of his neck. He didn't have the time to draw his sword and fight back. He didn't have the time to even think about fighting back. Perhaps he was too tired.
If I cut your neck here, at least there will be no need for you to die in Londinium. I can just throw your corpse into the furnace. It would spare many from dying on a distant battlefield in a foreign land.
If you've made your decision, then kill me here. It will be your final chance.
You've made yours, I see.
The general says you lack conviction, but I don't think he is entirely correct.
You shouldn't speak so much when someone has your life in her hands.
It is only recently that I've realized I'm not as resolute as you. We have been brought to where we are by the invisible tides of fate, but ever since the day this war started, there is no going back for us.
Then do your best to survive. I won't hold back next time.
The silent assassin stows her blade up her sleeve, then slowly steps back into the shadows. Neither will I. If only this was our last meeting. Rhodes Island of Babel, Kazdel. A cold wind scatters the thick clouds of late winter, allowing sunlight to peek through the gaps and spread out across the bridge of the ship. Down the stairs, Ascalon stands unmoving by a guardrail. She shuts her eyes tight, enjoying the fleeting warmth of the sunshine. Above the stairs, there is a clear rustling of cloth dragging against the ground. A shadow flit across the assassin's face, blocking out the rays of sunlight.
Sorry, Ascalon. Did I disturb your rest? I thought I wouldn't make any sound if I took off my shoes. No, you are welcome at any time. The ground's cold. You should put your shoes back on, Your Highness. Nothing you wish to tell me, Ascalon? You mean, the reason you returned to Kazdel? It was my own decision. I thought you wouldn't agree, and I didn't know how to bring it up with Your Highness. Why would I not agree, Ascalon? Since it was your decision, I would trust your judgment. Did you manage to see them? Manfred and Theresis are both well. I can believe that. They're strong men. We should finish our preparations soon as well. The operation to retake Kazdel isn't too far off now. Why does your brow seem even more furrowed than before? Our recent combat plans have been radical, and they've won us some battles too. Still, I've been feeling uneasy. Babel has changed a lot, especially, Yes? The doctor. The doctor has changed a lot too. Became more efficient, more clinical. It's like the doctor is now a machine that never makes mistakes. That's just what a commander should be, no? Why would that make you worry? We've got an incredible commander now, sure. But I think I trust the weirdo who kept falling off a burden beast more. Is now really the best time to attack Kazdel, Your Highness? Your intuition has always been on the mark. You've had your worries too. Do you remember? We've faced countless insurmountable odds over the years, but we've overcome them all. I believe that we can go through what comes next as well. We've always been in danger, yes. Babel carries the hopes of many, Ascalon. Faith has gotten us this far, and we cannot stop now. We have always been at a disadvantage against the military commission. Now most of their forces have redeployed to Londinium. It is a one-of-a-kind opportunity. We have no choice. I will be at your side, keeping you safe. No, Ascalon. In the future, you must go further afield to protect others. Relax for now, and bask in the sunlight for a moment. Your Highness, Oh, right. Remember to not always rest on your feet. If you're tired, you should go and enjoy a nice nap in your room. I'll remember.
The sunlight shines upon Ascalon's face once more. It is bright and warm, but the moment the shadow faded away, she suddenly felt some peculiar emotion flooding through her chest. At the time, she was unable to describe what it was. It dawned on her many years later, on another sunny day. It was an unwillingness to part ways. Londinium, Victoria. Mercenaries! Message from His Grace the Duke. Storming Londinium like this was well done. Assemble in Central in an hour. You'll be reviewed there, then you receive your bounty. Hey, did you get all that? Yes, your orders have been received. Do let the Duke know on my behalf that we will be there on time. The Sarkas thank him for his generosity. Huh. Uppity devils. It could well be a rare fine day in Londinium, if it were not for the gun smoke filling the air. From atop the towering city walls, one can see the entire lay of this ancient city. The general in his blood-stained uniform says not a word, his gaze fixed on the great edifice in the center of the city. In the skies above Londinium, a dark cloud floats by. That is juicy. Also, god damn, the beginning of this, it didn't actually take me many attempts to record. It just took many attempts to nail. And whatever you hear at the beginning of this one is the one that sounded the best one to me. So hopefully that sounded okay. Goddamn shit. Yeah, that is... Upon finishing that one, and by the way, there will be a clip at the end, which is mostly just for the Talos 2 reaction thing, but that's at the end of this episode. But yeah, that's a reveal. So that's a massive reveal. Like, it was already suggested, I think it was already suggested on the ST2 cutscene that that Originium has influenced. I mean, wasn't that a sentence there, literally, if I remember correctly right now, that Originium influenced the evolution of this planet, essentially, and everything. But this one puts stuff into perspective, doesn't it? Like, essentially, it seems that every single one of the, like, animal species that we have as, you know, as humans, in quotes, were animals that were brought from Talos 2, and those, over time, evolved to look like
the Doctor's race, essentially, because of Originium. Because from all aspects, it seems the Originium is potentially carrying the DNA, or maybe not the DNA, but maybe like a coding that just influenced life to mimic whatever the creator of it was. It's wild. So here is another thing. Considering that in the timeline of this game, in the future we will be going to Talos 2, essentially in Enfield we will be playing over there. Isn't that a homecoming? Isn't that just a homecoming for all of these races? They're pretty much just going back to their ancestral home. That is nuts. That is a nuts thing to think about. But yeah. Also, the other aspect of this cutscene, the whole Doctor essentially breaking down, that is, and I think I kind of hinted on the idea that I had already in my brain at the end of the last part that I was recording. I think I said it if I remember correctly, but if I didn't, I already had an inkling where this story is gonna go and how we're gonna be finishing this way back then. Because I had a feeling something is gonna go down with the Doc. I mean, from the moment the Doc wakes up and pretty much gets told, hey, you're the last one of your race, congratulations, whee! Yeah, the Doc already had aspects of, oh shit, I'm alone. What am I? What? Oh, who is this? But yeah, also the black and white text also playing a role in the whole thing. I had an inkling this is where it goes. But rejoice. I don't know yet how it will happen, but rejoice, everybody. This version of the Doc will essentially get deleted. This version of the Doc will essentially disappear. I don't know how yet, but we'll see about that. But before we continue, we have 2 new enemies to add here, and we are continuing the menagerie of these all are goofy enemies. We have the rogue mercenary bass. Agitated rhythms and intense rumbling from the melody of the nomadic city of Kazdel. The members of this metal band have transformed their weapons into musical instruments, blending their dual roles as mercenaries and musicians. Nice. I love the... Why do they have a mustache? Why is the goofy mustache there? Regulus will be proud. Anyway, the second one is Tinkerer. Sarkar's artificers obsessed with building a flying machine. The patches on the balloon meant not just the vehicle, but the heart of a dreamer as well. How romantic and cute. Why are these enemies? Why are these enemies in this story? These enemies don't feel like they belong in this story. They don't feel like they belong in this story. They feel like they belong in one of those goofy ass summer adventure stories. Why are they here? Also, this guy suspiciously looks like... I just kind of started thinking, these guys in a bucket, they kind of look like Durin. Just me? Anyway. Or rather, they kind of remind me of... What was the goblin from Warcraft? The ones in the balloons? They kind of remind me of that. Anyway. Moving on to stage 8. Final countdown. Not the song. Not that song. And it says, if this is your choice. Let's begin. Spring, the year 1094. Rhodes Island of Babel, Kazdel.
I knew you'd come, Ascalon. I'm the only one left. Indeed. After a few years here, you're the only one left out of everyone I knew. This upcoming mission of yours. In Londinium, you knew that already. To tell you the truth, I'm a little bit bothered by it. This isn't my first time going undercover, but It's the first time for me to step outside of Kazdel. I heard you used to travel around for months. It's not the same as going to Victoria, though. You are going to be a sleeper agent in Therese's mercenary army. When the time is right, you'll be provoking an armed rebellion. Will killing Thereses really solve our problems? No, the military commission is no longer reliant on any one strongman. This is exactly what Thereses wants. So, the best way for you to accomplish your mission is to cause a disturbance at the right time. It'll sow doubts among the Victorian dukes, and they can do the dirty work for you. Londinium is the heart of Victoria. They've got nowhere to run. The city will witness the downfall of the entire military commission. And then you guys will beat up the whole Nazir court and take back Kazdel, right? Still, Julie, you should... Oh, don't be like that. I've been undercover before, it's just... you know, having to fool both the Thereses and the Victorians at the same time. I've barely met any feline who can do that. I've even been practicing my Victorian just for this. That's not what I meant. Never mind. Here, for you. What's this? My old clothes? My name's been sewn into the lining. Did Her Highness do this? Her Highness wanted to give this to you in person, but I don't want you two to meet at this moment. I would rather she not have to suffer too much. You know what I mean. You know that everyone involved in this plan is considered sacrificed already. Her Highness knows this. She wanted to say goodbye to you all in person, but that would only make it hard for her to sleep at night. So I lied to her. I told her you all left earlier than planned. I'm sorry, Julie. You might have wanted to meet Her Highness too.
Julie does not reply. She strokes her name sewn onto her clothes with linen, feeling its rough texture in silence. Julie. She remembers how Her Highness would teach them lessons. She is more used to killing people than learning things in a classroom. Although she would doze off and she didn't understand a thing, she knew in her heart that everything Her Highness said was right. That's why she has never raised a question in class.
I wouldn't want to see Her Highness one last time. But I don't mind if it's you who gives me this. I've learned a lot from you in these past few years too. You're not thinking that you might be more qualified for this mission than I am, are you? No, I'm not. There were some people who actually mentioned you at the meeting earlier, but we all agreed that it's best if you stay in Kazdel with Her Highness. As for me, I've always been on my own, so I was the first to suggest. You could go and join Scout's team. I remember you have already applied for it. That was just because I wanted to learn everything I could from a hero. Also that I could beat you one more time. We fight more or less in the same way. It's kind of a bummer leaving without having sparred enough with you. I really wouldn't be telling you all this if it wasn't for the fact that I'm about to head off already. Do you have anything else you'd like to say? Nope. I never expected my first time leaving home would also be my last. I also never expected the person sending me off would be the unsmiling silent head assassin who's always standing by the king's side. Answer me honestly, Ascalon. What's it like out there, in the lands beyond Kazdel?
Ascalon does not answer. It seems that Julie did not expect to receive one in the first place. Julie simply gets up and leaves, at a languid pace, as though she was just heading off to get a bottle of top-notch wine. Ascalon watches her as she walks off into the distance. She suddenly feels like there is something unfamiliar about Julie, the same feeling as if she were unable to recognize her own reflection in the mirror. Three months later. Village on the outskirts of Londinium, Victoria.
Come out already. There's no use hiding. We received the info while in the city that there's a squad heading off to Kazdel. That must be you lot, right? We've blocked off all the other roads out of this village, and don't even think about passing through me here. Got you. Look at your wounds and all, and up you could beat a civilian in a state like this.
She shakes her sword with disdain, flicking off the blood on it.
Or maybe you're waiting for your buddies to come and help you out?
The others are all dead.
As a doornail. All your friends are dead, so why does it feel like you're breathing a sigh of relief?
Death is but a mercy, my friend.
Who the hell are you guys?
That does not matter. Your blade struck through.
She hears the assassin break out in laughter under her blade. Only once he has finally stopped breathing does she peel off his mask. Julie freezes. She thinks for a long while before finally realizing the identity of the Sarkas based on the marred birthmark by the corner of his eye. His portrait had been circulated around the Scar Market's book of bounties before. He had many aliases, but nobody knew what his real name was. He has been active for far too long, long enough to become the subject of boasts and quips from drunken mercenaries. But the two horns that marked his bloodline and identity have been cut off clean, leaving eternal scars on his head. Those other masked nutjobs willing to die for their cause, did they also like chopping their horns off? Did you need to go this far to muster enough courage to assassinate Her Highness? Was it because you had to bear steel against the King of Sarkas? Against one of the 6 heroes? Whatever. I can tell just by looking at you all that you haven't dealt with Her Highness Theresa before. Well, don't you worry. I'll burn away your faces. Sure, you'll be turned into some real stinky charcoal, but it beats being remembered as a sinner. You guys can't go back to Kazdel, and this is the only thing I can do to help you. To be honest, I don't think you and I are all that different. I can't go back to Kazdel either. Julie and her companions pile up the assassin corpses, set the grisly pyramid alight, then set off in the direction of Londinium. The blaze behind them crackles. A thought suddenly pops up in Julie's mind. The furnace in Kazdel doesn't sound like this. What was it like? She heard it all the time when she was little.
Can't remember any of it.
Kal'tsit.
Our leads have been deployed to all the key strategic points.
Good. Listen up. There is a clear power gap between us and the military commission. Laying siege to Kazdel would have been an impossible operation. But thanks to the Duke of Cavendish's ultimatum, Theresis has marched to Londinium earlier than planned. Kazdel now only has some of the royal court factions aligned with the military commission to oversee it. He has almost abandoned the city. This has no doubt left both the civilians and remaining soldiers in disarray. Once the banner of the military commission falls, Her Highness Theresa will proclaim that they have abandoned Kazdel, and in turn proclaim the liberation of Kazdel by Babel. This battle line will be formed by multiple points rather than an entire front. We must strike swiftly and precisely. Due to the disparity in military strength, almost every single one of our armed personnel who still heeds the command of Babel has been assigned to taking the city. Thus, the landship's defenses will be relatively weak. Her Highness Theresa will remain on the landship to balance the situation. We will retain a suitable force to guard the ship too, under my personal command. Once the city gates of Kazdel have been broken open and the path to the Soul Furnace has been made safe, Her Highness will meet with the main army at all speed. We have 6 hours to storm the city, else the military commission will have the opportunity to organize a powerful counterattack. If that time comes, our weaker Babel forces will be exposed to danger. By the light of the setting sun, Babel will capture the furnace and the royal court's chamber, and the banner of Babel will rise with the moons. And when that time comes, a ceasefire will resound across all Kazdel. I have faith that we will all succeed.
Wonderful organization, Doctor.
Just some big talk meant to boost morale. I'm sure kal'tsit and our experienced fighters can see right through it. Babel is going to take heavy losses.
It's not quite Therese's style, allowing so many flaws to go exposed. But I trust you, Doctor. I believe that with this price we must pay, we can take back Kazdel. Thereses is going to fight for the power he most craves in Londinium. If our assumptions are correct, once he tears apart that empire, he will set his sights back on the city.
Is there no room for 2 Kazdels on this great land?
Perhaps there is, but if we were to split our combined strength in 2, then we would not be able to resist the next invasion of our enemies. Moreover, while the city can always be rebuilt, what the Sarkas have been truly failed to do for millennia is to unify. Even the military commission failed to gather together all the surviving factions of the royal court. Are you wondering if things would be different if it was Thereses who wore the crown?
No, they wouldn't. The Sarkas would come rushing into the city, escaping from wars and trying to feed themselves, would still band together and fight their king. To band together. Such a simple yet unimaginable way to put it.
Indeed. According to kal'tsit's rough calculations, the population of Sarkas currently living in Kazdel only constitutes 30 to 40% of all Sarkas across Terra. A unification under the banner of hate would be effective yet short-lived. A unification under peace allows us to discuss development and our future. It is not that Thereses or the Sarkas does not understand all this, it's just that the war broke out anyway. Even if we take Kazdel back, Doctor, perhaps this war will still go on. But maybe it will do for now. After our victory, I'd like you to take a look around the city. It is my home, and the home of many Babel members. It is also kal'tsit's home. You have fought for Babel for so long, yet you have never set foot in the homeland of our memories. I haven't been a very good host in this deal of ours, have I, Doctor? See how the soul furnace brings light and heat to Kazdel, the city built on our pain, and you might see why we are so greedy in our desire for a peaceful tomorrow.
I will. Outskirts of an abandoned town, Kazdel. How are things in town, Oda? We're still pursuing the remaining mercenaries. They have pretty much all holed up inside some abandoned buildings. I'm afraid it'll take a while to root them all out. Don't be reckless. Pay attention to the time and don't forget what the doctor said. Our objective is to clear the flanks, then regroup on the battlefront ASAP. I know. If not for the doctor's contingency plan, we most likely would have been gotten by that ambush of theirs. But, there's something strange in this. It's clear that this town's right in the path of the catastrophe, so why would this gang of mercs risk ambushing us here? I'm still investigating that myself. We just need to find their leader then, Ascalon, although I can't guarantee that they'll have answers we need. I know. Stay safe.
A catastrophe. Its brutal winds batter Ascalon. Faint blasts from the horizon distract her,
as though they are reminding her.
We are destined to walk along this path.
It's you.
Long time no see. You've grown, Ascalon. You really have toughened yourself up on the battlefield over the last few years.
I assumed you would have joined that man in huddling behind Londinium's walls like a coward.
Me? Follow the regent? I'm afraid you got that wrong, Ascalon. Mercenaries never follow anyone. All we care about is profit. Here in Kazdel, the only thing that helps you earn that profit is violence. Lucky for us that we have the knack of sniffing it out. Naturally, I am happy to help everyone see what prospects might show up on this list of jobs in a suitable manner. After all, the scar market never makes wrong investment decisions.
Ascalon's sleeve blade stabs at the giant's back, only to find his back blocking the attack. It seems that his hand had been there all along. No movement is detected. If he thought that you could stop us yourself, then I'm afraid that he's living in a fantasy.
Wrong again, Ascalon. The mercenaries are here because of the Regent's commission, yes, and it's none of my business. But have you ever wondered why I am here? I am here to see you, Ascalon. A completely unrelated matter.
Ascalon, the town! Another ambush! Oda? Oda!
I didn't say you could leave, Ascalon. The moment those people stepped into the town, their fates were sealed. You can't save them. Do you still remember the first time we met? We're already at the confluence of fate. Here I see a rather abrupt ending. I've always wondered, could I change that ending? Perhaps I could dredge up a stone from the rough rapids of destiny and place it wherever I want, to see what ripples would arise that should not exist in the first place. Could the Cyclops control prophecy?
Get lost. Or die.
I already told you. There's no need to try for any surprise attacks. I can see them coming.
Theresis has taught me many things, but there is only one thing I remember clear as crystal. The blade in my hand can solve most of my problems. Scar Eye, can you see nothingness? A thick mist, mingled with dust, spreads across the area. Everything is indistinct. The assassin's figure gradually becomes a blur in the fog. Doesn't matter if it's fate or prophecy. I've had enough of your tricks. You believe you can see beyond time. You believe you can rely on fate to guide you to profit. But you're nothing more than an addict playing at fortune teller. In the end, Scar Eye? Ascalon's voice fades away. The giant's ears only hear the wind. The giant's eyes only see the mist. Strange, even though he can see 100 different ways of his own death whenever he wakes up, now he sees none. Crack. His mask shatters. His eyes had been hidden behind that mask for nearly a century. He doesn't need to see reality. Too many people, too many things, all unworthy of his sight. And as the evening light rushes into the cracks of his mask, seeping into his excited, dilated pupils,
Do you see your death now?
No, he sees a precipice. The rapid waters of the confluence of fate are flowing over it.
Before we continue this fight, Ascalon, allow me to give you a prophecy, free of charge. A story.
Some place in the wilderness, Kazdel.
Prophecy. As if this could be called prophecy. Ascalon did not kill me. What has been spoken still requires discernment. What has been discerned can still be altered. The essence of prophetic arts is merely conjecture and calculation. No wonder there is no destiny that can't be defied. The Cyclops Court is nothing more than a big, sick joke. Oh, that hurts. I didn't die under Ascalon's blade. This isn't what I prophesied. Then maybe she's the one who should have died. She's bound to come confirm that I'm dead. When that happens, you lot can nail down her shadow and rip her to shreds. She's wounded too. I didn't get all beaten up for nothing after all. What are you guys doing? You're aiming at me? Really? Who bought you off?
Nobody, boss. It's just a good opportunity to get a promotion.
An opportunity? I see. Bubbles enter the sea, and you could take my head to curry favor with them. If Bubble loses, you can always go back to the Scar Market. Nothing to lose.
Scar Eye silently looks at the soldiers he set up for the ambush himself. The wind sweeps past, carrying the faint scent of his blood.
It's a good plan, fellas.
Fate did not kill him. He made it. He had reversed a prophecy. And then he died atop a stage of his own making. Londinium, Victoria. The huge palace complex situated in the center of Londinium is always too quiet. Theresus disdains the apathetic nobles who live within. He only respects those who put their lives on the line to fight a way out and come up to him, even if the swords that they raise are pointed at Theresus himself.
Showing mercy to your enemy will only result in your own death, Manfred. Do not repeat that mistake again.
Forgive me, General. I thought...
Focus on the enemy. It seems these traitors have been sharpening their blades for this ambush for a while now. They have stirred the hearts of the Victorians. We are the only ones who can extinguish this rebellion now.
Theresus says some words in an ancient Sarkas language. By the time he murmurs his covert orders, a group of silent figures are already appearing on the chaotic battlefield. Like a passing gale rattling the raindrops in a storm. Stand back! We'll handle these guys. Julie, you and the rest keep going. Got it.
Don't even think of getting close to the general.
No need to rush.
It'll be your turn soon.
I am the General's guard captain, assassin.
And then you're gonna wanna hold your sword tight.
An inconspicuous arc sweeps past Julie's eyes. A chill runs through her spine, her body stiffens. She thinks of the day that she saw Her Highness in the Scar Market. At the time, she did not even dare to raise her sword. Enough, Manfred. General! They have come to me in search of an honorable death, not mercy. They're using their lives to show me the future as they see it. You are in a race. She's facing countless threats in Kazdel, just as we are here. Such a race only ends with my life or hers. I will give you a chance. Come, Deathmongers, kill me. Do not disappoint Theresa.
Countdown. 2 hours, 7 minutes, 21 seconds. Shatter. The gates have fallen! They're about to come through! Countdown. 1 hour, 33 minutes, 48 seconds. Notify all operations within the city to disarm the patrolling troops.
The defenses in the city are weak. It's pretty much just the military commission's defense forces. We'll strike at them before they can regroup. Move fast!
Even if both sides are trying to prevent the battle from spreading into the city, this is still rather irregular. Send all our intelligence back to the doctor. All operating teams, quicken your pace and stay vigilant at all times. Take down the military commission's flag in the plaza and tune our radio into all frequencies in the city. Countdown. 49 minutes, 59 seconds. Prepare for the landship's connection. We want to let Her Highness and the others enter the region that we control ASAP. Also contact Ascalon's team and tell them to rendezvous quickly. 3 teams have already completed their deployments ahead of schedule.
Where to next, Dr. Kal'tsit?
The former site of Babel. Babel's flag has not been raised there for many years.
Kal'tsit walks along the street. She's still familiar with the route to Babel's offices. The Sarkas on the street quietly move about, climbing as high as they can on the surrounding buildings, gazing at the same ruins within the city. A flag that has not been seen in Kazdel for many years slowly rises. Babel has returned.
Mantra's latest report says we've managed to completely clear 5 main roads. If everything is going according to plan, Kal'tsit should have seen the fires of the soul furnace by now. Kazdel's defenses are all but crippled, Doctor. We can board the city now.
Good. But the military commission will not give up on Kazdel. If we want complete control of the city, we still need a bit more time. By then, we might not be able to completely avert the destruction of Kazdel's center city.
Wait. I felt them.
What?
They are still here, but they have no intention of aiding anyone. It seems that some arrogant bystanders have joined our battle.
Theresa.
I also feel enemies, not ordinary ones. Their souls burn with killing intent, sorrow, misery, and determination.
The military commission's assassins. They intend to use the city as bait all along, so they can inflict heavy damage on Babel's headquarters. This was also within my calculations, but this time, there is no wagering or planning our way out of this. We must defeat the assassins, then return to our city. I will go control the landship's defense systems and mount a defense.
Go, Doctor. We need to bring another fight into the city, not as it bathes in the twilight afterglow.
Countdown 22 minutes 48 seconds.
Closure, have you made contact with the land ship? Still no response. I'm still overriding the city's broadcast power settings and trying to expand its range. Maybe the land ship's comms have a temporary malfunction. I'm doing my best to bring it back online.
Countdown 12 minutes 57 seconds.
I sense something peculiar, Dr. Kal'tsit. My mother. She's prepared incantations for every person dear to her heart. When they pass away, an elegy will play in our minds. I'm still in good health at present, but...
Kal'tsit suddenly feels her blood run cold. Even if Babel can capture Kazdel, it is bound to suffer grave losses. Theresis was right. They can't unite. The division of the Sarkas will be the new norm. Even given a long time, the Sarkas are unable to go from a weak community to a world leader. Most importantly, I pointed out another path to Theresis. His plan in Londinium will have a greater chance of success if the Sarkas corrupt the land with Originium and destroy their enemies. Isn't this a good thing? Such a determined race is now our followers. They will become the first brilliant bloodstain on the curtain of Originium as it spreads. That's right. We have no need to destroy them. No need to kill her. I should use Civilite Eterna. I should try to guide its hidden functions, and then I wouldn't need to...
Searching Eternal Array. Administrator permissions found. Verified. Valid permissions. Welcome, Dr. Jacob. Entering ship-wide defense system. Please confirm subsequent operation.
Should I really let Babel continue their actions at this point? Am I really going to renounce the sacrifices of billions of our people in the distant past, renounce their flesh and blood ballads and songs, renounce the spark that they have waited for 10,000 years, renounce the Originium project, all for a race who doesn't even know what the barrier is? If, for the sake of Terra, Originium was stopped, if Theresa truly succeeds, then what have we been waiting for during the 10,000 years? Theresa and the races of Terra, do they really not have even the slightest chance of success? They do not. How could I be so naive as to believe that? They are disunited, narrow-minded, undeveloped, an accident of life, a fortunate survival, that's all. All lives have the right to believe in their own hopes. But we have no time left. It is right in front of us.
Doctor? Doctor, can you hear me? That's strange. There are some peculiarities in the doctor's emotions. Intense and shadowed. Doctor, what exactly...
Look. There is the fiery light from the torn apart portal, like a smoldering gash across the sky. Only after centuries will it dissipate into nothingness. The stars are leaving from where we stand, like leaves trembling in the night. Yet that ship from Talos 2 still arrived at these rubble-strewed ruins. That is life. That is what we lost after our final day. That is the ancient ode to dispel any darkness. To this day, we still do not understand how life appeared in this vast sea of stars. But I think we should sing the praises of all that lives and sing our own praises as well. Originium is our song, the melody we offer to those who come after. Meddling with the evolution of civilization is arrogance, but I had no other choice. I have reneged on my promise. I have betrayed she who waited within time itself. It is because of the love I felt, love for life, love for existence. Love is eternally pure. It leaves me unthinking. kal'tsit. Learn to love, learn to believe. You have to think. Go and lead. Go and face the rolling stones that fall down the hills, screaming as they go. But in the end, I believe that you can learn to love. It is eternally pure. It is the child of every breathing creature. It is our nature. Go, kal'tsit. Go see your surroundings. Then see what lies by the most distant of mountains. Go seek what forms existence takes. I must go back. She had once taught me everything, once explored everything with fervor, but she has changed. She will not give me much time to act of my own accord. May we meet again next time. We will meet again, kal'tsit. I believe in them. I believe in you, kal'tsit. kal'tsit, I do not have much time left. Search for traces of life. Search for hope and a future. kal'tsit, go find your own answer. Find yourself.
Are you sure you want to disable the ship-wide defense system?
Doctor!
Restart boarding ID verification selected. Confirmed. Restart ship-wide communications modules selected. Confirmed. Loading. Countdown has reached 0. The fluorescence of the control panel reflects off the doctor's mask. As the screen shuts down, the face beneath the mask is shrouded in darkness again. How would you describe those who would pay any price to defend their people? Some would call them heroes, some would call them legends. But such titles best take root in times of widespread war. As a short era of peace begins, in the space of a night, those living legends will all be relegated to the land of stories and tales. The children who hear such tales will ask, why have all the people who bear such grand titles disappeared? Because they chose to stay in the past. They had seen through their duty, and the new era they founded has no place for them. Legends are forgotten. Heroes pass out of memory. And death arrives, as it always does. None can escape it. Duty spurs a hero to ride an answer with death, to thread the muddy road. That is our fate.
The year 1086, the eve of Babel's departure from Kazdel.
Perhaps after many years, those who were left behind and vanished after we built our home will join us in our causes. They will bear a name wrecked with infamy and settle with debate for us.
Perhaps.
The twins stand shoulder to shoulder. By means of the memories stored within the Black Crown, they walk along the battlefield of yesteryear, just as it was in the past. The two mixed blood Sarkas step off the king's collapsed chariot, walking toward the battle. Walking toward the future.
So is this where we part ways?
It is. Here, where we join hands to change Kazdel, we part.
Even though you have been their king for so many years, at times you are as you were back then.
Back then, we were still young. I would often prick my fingers as I was sewing, staining the robes I would sell. Do you remember?
Yes.
At the time, you were still a gloomy recruit, not allowed to wield a real sword, always dreaming of becoming a soldier of Kazdel one day. I, for my part, still did not understand why we had to hide wherever we went. But then came the day that the royal court took note of my work, and I got to meet Elish. During that meeting, I summoned my courage and asked the king of Sarkas, Where does our future lie? He had no answer, only bidding me to leave. Only once I saw our defeated troops return to their homeland in ruins did I finally understand. The answer I sought could not be found in other lands, but here, in Kazdel.
Kazdel will only return to glory when none of us is gone. But the one who is destined to lose is you. Must you persist with this, Theresa?
There are many by my side who support me.
Most Sarkas who have suffered oppression and humiliation choose rebellion and violence. No matter if those who remain wish it or not, they will eventually be swept along by the tides and drawn into wars.
But our generation must do something. I do not wish for this hatred in my hand to pass on to the next, where it will continue to fester and grow anew. Even if I cannot change the future, the hope that will ignite the spark must be carried forward.
I too must take charge of those who follow me. The cries answering to the war do not come solely from Kazdel. There is no place for us anywhere in these lands. All I can do is give them a push. And so I will stay here. I choose to stay in the past, where the new generation of Sarkas will one day look back. Just like you.
Yeah. Where do I begin with this one? Where do I begin with this one? Okay, before I say anything, let's get this out of the way. There is one new enemy here. It's technically a mini-boss, and it's the Death Whale Assassin. Sarkas assassins who have abandoned their names and cut off their horns. Behind their pal is a burning fanaticism and a destined fate. They hurt. Ow. They hurt a lot. But, yeah, where do I unpack this whole spiel? Right? So, this is where it happens. We finally caught up. Let's go a bit in order. So, first off, we get caught up with the beginning, again with another of the flash forward scenes at the beginning, the Scar versus Ascalon scene. We get to see him bodied, and then we get to see him bodied by his own men. Well, I was not what I expected. I actually thought he died after he fell off the cliff, but no, he survived, and then he gets absolutely slashed to bits by all the people he placed there. That's poetic, I guess. Then we also catch up to the other flash forward, which is Julie and the other people that were with her. They're sleeper agents, actually picking up arms, and they are now running against the clock. And yeah, then back to the invasion of Kazdel by our forces, by Babel essentially, trying to overtake the city as quickly as possible before they run out of time. But we already knew that that was already a setup. Oh god. By the way, I'm happy that for the hyperventilating scene there of deciding yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, I only had to take 3 takes, because holy shit, I don't want to do that more than that. Started to feel lightheaded on the 3rd one, not gonna lie, that was a bit much. Oh god. But yeah, damn, what a moment, what a moment, and the name Oracle finally fell. So I can't remember where. I remember it most distinctly in one of the Enfield trailers. And speaking of Enfield, considering I kind of brought it up twice already in this episode with this, including this, of Enfield I know nothing outside of the trailers and a tiny bit about the playable characters that were part of the technical test. Nothing else I've seen. I've barely heard anything from it. I was just trying to stay away from it because I didn't get into the technical test back then. So I didn't want to spoil myself about anything because I want to play it and I want to discover it as I play it. But I do remember from one of the trailers, I think that was released for the technical test essentially, the name Oracle falling for, I believe that was a thing that voice was addressing, or pardon, putting up as options of, hey, should I address you as Oracle or blah blah blah, or hey, how about Doctor? Very cheeky. But yeah, I remember the name Oracle falling there, so now we finally have it, and we finally have it, yeah, confirmed, the doc is Oracle, essentially. I mean, they couldn't have made it more obvious with the text boxes that were selectable in the middle, and it's literally the very same words that were already shown in ST2 on that cutscene when the doc was awakening, and we've seen that memory of that person addressing kal'tsit. From what is shown, it seems that whatever happened, it seems that the doc was responsible in that case. I wonder still how that fits in there, because the current version of the doc is very torn. I mean, yeah, the doc is very torn between life, or between the current life or the previous life. So I wonder how that fits in, but I guess maybe there's gonna be a tiny bit more. I mean, there are still two nodes plus the epilogue cutscene, so that will be for next time. So I'm not gonna dwell on that too long. However, as for the reaction scenes, the only clip I have for you guys is the reaction to the Talos stuff, so you can enjoy that once this fades out. Didn't have much of a reaction to Oracle. Again, it's a thing that, I mean, the only thing I was surprised of is that, oh shit, they finally showed Oracle, or they're finally talking about Oracle. didn't really... that was a segment where I was just locked in and I was on autopilot, so not much of a... not much of a reaction. But yeah, anyway. That is about it for now. Next time we're gonna be finishing this off properly. And I think the next time I'm gonna have probably a bunch more clips, because I'm expecting lots of emotions next time, because we're gonna get everything tied up neatly, right? Everything connecting back to the main story properly, as we're gonna be continuing with that over there. But yeah, anyway, that will be for next time. For now, guys, thank you very much for watching, and if you like this video, please consider leaving a like on it. It would help me out a lot. If you're new to the channel and are enjoying it, subscribe. There is a shit ton more, literally the entire game. And much more. So yeah, enjoy, and if you want to support me and my work more directly, there are memberships and all of that open. So if you want to pick that one up, thank you very much. For the members that are already there, thank you very much for supporting, guys. Really helping out. And as always, no video will be behind a membership. It is purely there just to support the channel more directly. So yeah, thank you very much. Hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are. And yeah, I have to laugh about it this time around because, oh god, what we just went through. Anyway, thank you very much. I will see you next time. And enjoy the clips, and bye-bye. Oh boy. Oh, we're here. Back at your sleepy crib. Let's see. Huh. Enable administrator level encryption. Image number... What would be the best way to say this one? Open image number in brackets 0018 underscore admin. Activating recorder. Beginning video record. Oh, cool. And there's also a fuzz effect. Nice. Like both visually and audio. That's a lot of ellipses. What are you about to record, buddy? While I slept, the ruins of our homeland nurtured new life. Homeland, huh? Interesting. Okay, I was presuming this for a while now, but considering you guys were like a spacefaring race of people and were, from all indication points so far, were everywhere in this, at least in this galaxy where this is taking place in. If you're calling it a homeland, I wonder if this planet is where you were born. If Terra is where you saw the light of day together with your buddies. Or just saying the ruins of our homeland. I mean, if they brought stuff from their homeland to this world, then those objects could also be considered ruins of their homeland because they're from there. Could be one or the other. Anyway. Originium is what guides their development, reshaping the life forms. Originium is what guides their development. Yeah, we've been over that. You kinda already hinted at the fact that the beings right now have been developed, well, shaped by Originium. When you woke up, your whole spiel of being so concerned about what happened to Originium and what is happening to it, that you had a hand in it and stuff like that. Yeah, we've been over that. Reshaping the life forms from Telos 2 to have a similar appearance to us. Oh. Oh, buddy. Oh, so... Okay, that's wild. That's wild. How many life forms are we talking about here? Because there were some life forms on this world already. So, are we talking stuff like the Paros, the Liberi, the Feline, and all the other like races that we know that keep calling themselves human despite, you know, technically not being human? Are you telling me your race brought them from Telos, an originium that you let loose on this world that was supposed to do something else, shaped their DNA over from animal into human-animal hybrids, essentially making them closer and closer to what your species actually looks like? Buddy, pal. Okay, this is wild. Cause it's a homecoming. Going to Talos 2 for every single species of this world almost is a homecoming. Wow. 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 Okay. Wow. Well, also kind of explains why they keep calling themselves humans then. I don't want to put it yet on the fact that the Dox race was calling themselves human, but would kind of explain why they all keep calling themselves under the same name as a population of the planet, essentially. If it's either like a genetic memory, like a instinct to call themselves human that has been given to them by Originium through the evolution, or it could have started by just, you know, considering kal'tsit was around, could have literally just been kal'tsit like accidentally call them human or something in the past, in the distant past, when they started to become human and more intelligent. Could be one or the other, or a combination of both. Anyway,